Happy Wednesday, or should I say hump day. You're watching the John McEntyre Money Show Live. I'm John McEntyre. Today, I'm doing a continuation of what I was talking about yesterday with the talking about before I do, um, love and money. Before you say I do, what you should, do as far as talking about finances. The reason why we're doing that is because it's actually, Valentine's coming up and people are serious about their Valentine's. $27.5 billion is projected to be spent on Valentine's Day. And not all of that will be candy. We know it's not all going to be candy. There's going to be quite a few engagement rings. There are a lot of proposals, marriage proposals on Valentine's Day. And so I wanted to take this week, these few days, to talk about everyone. Well, let me put it like this: when they say I do, will you marry me? Yes, I will. It goes from that to now let's do the wedding. Let's plan that wedding, and that's where all the thought goes to, which it should be, because it is a special occasion. Hopefully, it's a one-time event, and you do want it to be special. I remember when Andrea told me we were going to get married. I'm just kidding. When we we once when we decided to get married, she, it was all about the wedding. In my family, I got a lot of women in the family. My sister-in-law, my sisters, my mom at the time, she was alive, and it was just this big to-do thing. So you don't fight it. You just plan for it and just be prepared for it. Just prepare the best that you can. And part of the preparation is finance, talking about finances. And you have to have those hard conversations, because I've always said, and I was taught this by my mentor. One time he told me, he said, the better prepared you are up front, the less problems and stress you will have on the backside. The better more prepared you are, the smoother things will be. And we all know that that's in every area of life. I mean, you're going on vacation. The more you prepare up front, the smoother the vacation will be, everything. And we all know that. And so people, they've accepted premarital counseling, but the finances was slow to gain traction. People were just, and it was because of mainly, if it was the ministers doing the premarital counseling, or, if it was a counselor or a therapist, a lot of them, they were not financially literate, and a lot still aren't financially literate. So they really can't teach on and counsel on something that they really didn't know. So they would just basically skim over it. Well, now there's financial therapy, there's financial counseling. We do a lot of that premarital financial counseling. We've talked to a number, and now we've been doing it long enough to know. We're meeting past clients, and they're saying how beneficial that was. In those days, they maybe bumped heads or something like that. They would remember the conversations and the agreements that we advised on establishing and understanding each other. They knew that there were two different money personalities talking and everything, and that really helped. Because once you understanding it goes a long way. It goes a long way. And understanding the person that you're married to, you will never fully understand them, because, let's be honest, we never fully understand ourselves. We're constantly finding out new things about ourselves. And so you're going to find new things about that spouse. And if you have agreements up front, then it makes it just that much more easier to deal with. So that's why I'm a big proponent of premarital financial counseling. And so yesterday I shared some of the things to do just before you even have a conversation with each other, things you should have in place. Your net worth statement, have your credit pulled, things like be ready to share that maybe, if you've had a bankruptcy or foreclosure, some serious thing like that. um, prenups. Most people think of prenups as, wealthy people, athletes, things like that. No, prenups can be just as simple as, I know my parents have told me I will be inheriting their money when they pass on. And so, we need to discuss that. They're concerned. They want to know what is the plan going to be. And so that's what I talked about yesterday. Today, I want to get more into the actual conversation. I know I probably won't cover all of the questions today. I'm just going to cover a few because they are, these are to get you to think. If you are thinking about getting married, or if you're already married, maybe you're early in marriage and you're starting to feel some of the turbulence financially, and it could be, two different styles at work here. And so these may be some things to ask, but they work very well premarital. And so the first question, getting into it, the first question is, you know, it's about money history. What was the message in your home while growing up around money? How was money talked about? Was it even discussed? Was it, or was it arguments? Were there enough money in the home? Did you have everything that you needed growing up? And I mean, the basic necessities. I've talked to quite a few people who grew up in homes, power being turned off a lot, evictions, moving, periods of homelessness, things like that. And that affects a person. That I've talked about scripts before. Those are the scripts. And so a person may be a little frugal because they may have went through some serious financial trauma early in life, an eviction, a child not having a place, don't know where they're going to sleep, and they're trying to go to school, things like that. That's stressful. That's a form of PTSD. It's not the war type where you're going to die, but still, if they don't know if they're going to eat, if they don't know where they're going to sleep, if it's cold, they don't know if they're going to have a warm place to stay and things like that. That's traumatic. That's stressful on a person. Or barely eking by each month. You're barely getting by, things like that. Those create certain mentalities. Some people, it may motivate, it can motivate them forward to, build wealth, and they become, extremely successful with their money, but they may be sort of tight with it and may not be quick to spend. And, you just need to know these things, and having conversations up front, you can understand the person's, each other's script. And that's what you want to know. You want to make sure, okay, if they grew up worrying about money, maybe you can help them feel secure in that area, by making some agreements. This is what we're going to do and everything. And I'm going to get deeper into that as I move forward. But that first one, it's definitely something to a good question to start things off, where you share the message around money in the home that you grew up in. A lot of people, one of the old ones, money don't grow on trees here. That was always the comeback. Some parents, child would ask for something, a toy, or, something, a pair of shoes, or something. What do you think? Money grows on trees? They hear this type of stuff. Or, I can't afford it. They constantly heard, I can't afford it. And so you need to know that. You just need to know what those scripts are all about. Understand the person's scripts. That's number one. Number two, you ask the income question. How much do you earn? Just straightforward. How much do you earn? It may not be a deal breaker or anything. It's just a straightforward question. How much do you earn? Because if they don't earn a lot, but they have trying to live a luxurious lifestyle, they kind of giving you a indication of how they're going to handle money. They're going to overspend. They're going to live above their means, things like that. You need to know that, and you need to make the decision. How is this going to be handled? Do I even want to deal with that? People are now, they're being much more transparent and being much more upfront and open. Like, yes, I love, I do love you and things like this, but I don't want to spend, my marriage years arguing about money, wonder if we're going to have enough, or working myself to death for it, things like that. So that's just a good question. And how much you earn, if employed, is this job stable? Are you in a stable career? Are you in a stable job? 'Cause some people, they may have been in a job a few years, and the industry itself is on the decline, and they're not making any efforts to better, so-called better themselves, improve their career, go up and climb that ladder. And some people love ambition. They want to be with someone ambitious. I'm thinking back to actual a couple. When I first met them, they were both, they met in college. They were both college athletes, and they went into law. They were both attorneys, and they worked at separate law firms. But um, then they were both, progressing up the ladder. They were just both competitive, ambitious, and we had some discussions. We talked about some things. I actually, helped them with home ownership, buying their home, things like that. And everyone, they were happy. Husband and wife, they were happy, and they were doing very well for themselves. And I was like, I see a lot of good things happening. Fast forward a few years, bump into the husband, and, I ask about the wife. Oh no, we're divorced now, and I let her have the house and everything. Um, but he let her have the house, but she had to sell it because she couldn't afford to pay for it any longer. And he was like, okay, I'll help, but I'm not going to make the full mortgage payment, and everything, because I'm going to live my life. And so as we talked, he was very open and transparent. He said, I was like, what happened? I said, because you guys seem very happy and everything. He said, well, it's not that I didn't want kids. He said, I wanted kids. He said, I told her from the get-go, well, I like ambitious people, and I wanted an ambitious spouse. We build something together and things like this. When she had her first child, I was like, okay, you can back your hours down, things like this. We have the means to hire a nanny, things like that will help with the child. They won't raise the child for us, and everything. But she just wanted, she was like a lot of her friends. They were, housewives, or some of them were working, some were housewives. And she just decided she wanted to be a housewife. After she had the first child, everything was fine. But the second one came along, and she just basically just didn't want to work. And he was like, he said, it wasn't a matter of supporting and all that. He said, we could do that. He said, it's just the fact of, she had lost her ambition. And at first, I talked to my parents about it. He said, and they were like, people change. He was like, okay, yes, I can understand that. And he worked with that. He said, but then she just lost all ambition. Even with the kids, it was like she just didn't have that goal thing that she had. She was not trying to planning to instill it in the kids. She was basically letting them do everything. And he was like, this is not working for me. He said, this is just not working for me. And they talked. He said, we even went to counseling and everything. And he said, I just made a decision. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of the kids. I make sure, the education and everything. I'm going to take care of all of that. But we're just too different now. And we see that a lot, especially with older couples. A lot of aging couples are, going through divorces, and it's because they just never kept those conversations going, and they just never made agreements. And here it was just a guy, he loved the ambition, the drive in his wife, and she was very, very smart. She was intelligent. I remember, and I was like, wow. And it sort of saddened me. And I was like, couldn't there have been some other things? He said, I just didn't want to go through it. He said, we're fine, we're cool, we're friends now. He said, we're on a good point. But I was like, he said, I do have to take care of the kids financially a lot, because she's just not driven like that any longer. And the new guy she's met, he's not the most ambitious person either. And so hey, it happens. And I was like, wow, um, I never thought I would see something like that, but it happens. And so that's a good question to ask. What are your career goals? Is your job stable? Is the field stable? And what are your plans for, going up? So that's the question. Another question is very important is on spending. And the question should be, how will we decide? Well, you ask the individual question, how do you decide to make big purchases? Do you plan for them? Do you do your research and then you see something that you want, but you defer it, you delay it, and really think about it, pray about it, whatever you do. What is your process of decision making? Or are you, when you see something and you want it, you just buy it without even thinking about how it's going to affect the finances? That's a very good question, because when a spender and a saver marry, um, that spender can drive that saver nuts, and the saver can drive the spender nuts. The spender, they want everything and they want it now. The saver is willing to delay gratification, let's say, for it and all, and we can't get that now, would not be wise, and so they can really drive each other nuts. But if they come to a compromise and come to an agreement on how those things will be handled, it will be much easier. And the question after that is, do you budget? Do you have a budget? That's a big one. That's to understand the discipline of the person and their plans. They're planning to really, build wealth and be financially successful. So that's a question. Goals. You want to ask the goal question. What are your financial goals, and what is the timeline? What do you want to do, and when do you want to do it? Uh, that's a good time to find out if they are even thinking about retirement goals. Um, how do we plan to buy a home? How do we plan to do this? How do we plan to educate the kids? All of these types of questions. What are the goals? Um, those are things most people don't think about till they happen. But in today's time, there's really no excuse. There's no reason whatsoever to not at least think about it and have the conversation and plan for it. The job that you work at, do you have a retirement account? Well, yes. And they say, oh, well, yes, I think they do have something, or what, so you don't participate in it. Nah, I'll handle retirement when I get there. Do you want to be tied to someone that's basically just going to leave their financial future, their retirement, just based on, I'll handle it when I get there? That's not wise at all. That's not wise at all. And so that's why you want to ask those questions, to understand their thinking process. And maybe you explain yours. If you are thinking the other way, maybe you explain yours, and maybe they just haven't been around someone who's thinking like that. Maybe everyone, because most of the time people, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if they're running with a group that none of them are thinking that way, maybe you're going to be the one that helps them thinking, go in a different direction. Because you have all of these conversations, and you're having this conversation based on love. The common denominator is love for each other. That's why I'm asking these questions. So that's a very, those future questions. Those, you're asking today questions, you want to ask those future questions. How do you see retirement? I see myself with a beach home, um, you know, beach community, serving the community, things like that. This person, no, I want to move to the mountains and I'm going to hike every day, things like that. It needs to be discussed. It really needs to be talked about, to help each other understand each other and make some hard decisions. And last one, I'm just going to, this is not last, but how will we handle finances together? Will we keep them separate? Will we have joint accounts? I believe, if you've joined everywhere, mind, body, and soul, why are the finances kept separate? That's just another area, because that's an open area. If everything is kept separate, I've talked to people who kept their things separate, and there were secrets. There were, there was financial infidelity type things, and I mean, not like infidelity, with another person. I'm talking about financial infidelity. They have a storage somewhere with cars in it and all kind of valuable stuff, stored away and everything, because they kept them separate. Well, if you go back to those scripts, maybe it came from those scripts somewhere down the line. And so that's why I'm a big believer. You're joining in every area of life. Finances has to be one of them. It's just too important. It's just, like I say, money is like oxygen to life. Lack of it is kind of hard to live, you know. And so that's a good question. As I was talking about yesterday, when having a credit check and things like that, these may not be deal makers, but it helps you make the decision. Okay, they have like a low credit score. I have a high credit score. So in this particular situation, I may have to actually buy the house on my name, and then maybe later on down the line, we put each other's name. Both names will be on the home, but a lot of times real estate is community property anyway. And so those things are talking about, it's to be talked about. And the last one I'll talk about today is around parents and family members. Are your parents or siblings or other family members financially stable? Is there a possibility they may need our help in the future? And, we need to hash out the feelings around that. Because like they say, when you marry someone, you're marrying their family. You're marrying the people that had influence on them. And you need to know how much influence. You guys are planning, and you're taking care of things. You're taking care of retirement. But every few months, you're having to take care of this sibling that doesn't want to be responsible. Or because you have nice things, they feel they should have them also, but they don't want to do what you're doing to get them. They want you to take care of it. We see that. I see that a lot with people that became successful, business people, that be athletes, people, celebrities that make a lot of money. Now they having to support the entire, ecosystem, everyone around them. They're having to support them. As a recipe for financial failure. And we know there are a ton of stories. There are enough stories out there to know that is true. And because, okay, I'm supporting everyone, you're supporting everyone. They run out of money, you run out of money. Now it's just a bunch of broke people together. And these people, they didn't have a plan because they didn't have to have a plan to do anything. They didn't. You were their support system. You were their welfare system. And so that's why you want to have this conversation. Your parent, the parents, are they financially stable, or are we going to spend a lot of our money supporting them? Will we have to put goals on hold to help take care of them, healthcare wise, things like that? Those are questions to be asked, and then the decision is to be made. So I just wanted to cover some of those questions because they're important. They're questions that have proven time and time again to be valuable. There are a few more. I'll cover some more, but I just want to get it started today, because yesterday was like the more practical things you do as an individual. Today, more questions you ask each other. And these are questions. Sit down. Now that you've heard the questions, sit down and write them out. Write your answers out. Really think about it, because it may cause change there. Because I always say, if you're the certain type of person that you're looking for, you need to be the person that they would want. If you want a very high value person, you need to be high value yourself, because high value people are not seeking low value people. They're not, people with high standards. They're not seeking people with low standards. People with boundaries aren't seeking people without boundaries, because they're mature people. And so they're just not going to tolerate a lot of immaturity. And so that's what these questions will do. They will help you understand not only yourself, but the person that you've said that you're going to walk down that aisle with and spend hopefully the rest of your life with, in wedded bliss, hopefully, living happily ever after, if there is such a thing. But I hope I hope what I covered today is, was of some value to you. If you want to learn more, if you want to talk more about this, you may be thinking about getting married. You may need someone you want to talk to and go through these. We're here to help you. Our contact information is on the screen. Those that are watching by YouTube, subscribe to the channel, share. If you're watching by Facebook Live, subscribe, like this channel, like the page, share the video, send in your questions. I welcome those wallet wins. I want to celebrate them with you. We're still receiving them, but we're focused on getting you through Valentine's Day on budget without being broke, but enjoying yourself, because I know I am. So I'll be back tomorrow covering a few more questions and tips on what to do before you say I do with that potential spouse. So tune in tomorrow. I'll be back. Same time, same channel. Have a good day.